Happy Labor Day, everybody. For those of you, and again, I've said this a couple of times, it's amazing, particularly on replay, how many international viewers that we have of Daily Distinction. And I really appreciate those of you that watch on the replay and that watch from anywhere in the world. But here in the United States, it is a holiday today. We call this Labor Day. We celebrate the labor movement and the labor of people, and we celebrate Labor Day by not laboring, which I've always thought is kind of a funny kind of coincidence, but it's what we do, and it's a great holiday. And so today's Daily Distinction is not what we typically do on the weekday. We're going to do it just as we typically do on the weekend or on holidays, which is kind of a short check-in. Just see how everybody's doing, give you a little thought to consider for the day. Happy Labor Day to you, Pam. I appreciate it. Hope everything is good. I saw there was a weather warning out for Fort Wayne earlier today. So I hope what storms coming in or something. I don't know what's going on there. Scott, happy Labor Day to you. Hope things are great with you. Thank you for joining us last night on the Ken and Glenn show with a guy named Scott. That was a lot of fun to see you there. Yeah, Donovan and I had a conference call this morning. We're working on Labor Day, so there you go. That's what you're exactly right, Jerry. If you're a coach, we just labor right away today. Blistering Silicon Valley. I've heard, gosh, it's hot there. 103 in my backyard right now at noon in Vegas. So we set a record yesterday, by the way, in Las Vegas for heat, which is pretty amazing when you think of how hot Vegas is. But we set a record yesterday and probably set another one today, according to what they're forecasting. Hey, Ernest, great to see you. Labor like a wild coyote drinking Red Bull. I love that. I have never heard that line before. That is so good. I like that. Great to see you from sunny Lubbock, Texas. And the storms may be on their way. I'll check on that when we get done here, Pam. But Tammy has alerts set up. My wife Tammy's originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm from the southern part of the state, little town Crothersville, Indiana, my home. And we lived in Indianapolis for a number of years. So we keep the alerts on about what's happening weather-wise back home. Hey, before we get to the topic of the day, just want to mention that tomorrow, 10 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be taking a look at what's the number one mistake preventing you from standing out and earning more. We have a free webinar, a free event. We don't call it webinars because webinars are typically boring and trying not to make this boring. And if you are on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, I have just posted the link that you can go to sign up for that and join us for the free session tomorrow. We're going to be asking, when it comes to standing out and earning more, what's the single biggest challenge from a decade of research we found holds people back to the pack? One of the ways that you break free is to find out first what the problem is. You can't solve a problem you haven't identified. So we're doing about a 45-minute event tomorrow morning to take a look at that tomorrow afternoon based upon where you are. Would love for you to sign up for that. It's absolutely free. Come join us for the event tomorrow. When it comes to standing out and earning more, what is your biggest single challenge? What's the number one mistake that prevents you from standing out and earning more? The webinar for free is tomorrow. Also, the big reminder about the Distinction Summit, the Stand Out, Earn More program. The Distinction Summit is coming up October 16 to 18. You get $100 off until midnight tonight. So if you want to save the $100 and be assured of that, sign up for that by midnight tonight. Would love to have you as a part of the Distinction Summit. Just go to distinctionsummit.com. Join me there. All right. So as you saw from what I posted, the check-in that we're going to do today is about the seasons. Labor Day here is typically viewed as the end of summer. Yeah, Colorado looks like their weather's chaotic as well, Pam. Mark Sanborn, our friend in Colorado, was saying, what was it, yesterday? They broke a heat record. It was over 100 in Denver, and Tuesday it's going to be 33 degrees and snow. So just crazy. Well, and great to see you, as always. Glad you are here. And so Labor Day is viewed as the end of summer. And it got me thinking that one of the things that would be great to check in on very quickly today is that there is a cycle to everything. We're going through a change of seasons. Tammy and I were remarking this morning. You know, winters here in Las Vegas are absolutely spectacular. The temperatures are so good. You're willing to put up with the heat in the summer because the fall and the winter and the spring are just so fantastic. But the one thing obviously that you give up is the hours of daylight, right? I mean, and we were just talking this morning about how you're starting to be able to tell, right? The sun is coming up a little bit later. It's going down a little bit sooner. There is a cycle to this. And one of the things the late, great Jim Rohn talked about that I was listening to this morning when I was taking a morning walk is about the seasons of life and the cycles of life. And that's kind of appropriate to talk about on the day that we think of a season changing. And what are those seasons to life? And as Jim Rohn says, it is a cycle. It's not that you could sign up for 8 summers and 4 springs and no winters. It is a cycle, and it goes through that process. So in the few minutes that we've got together today for this holiday, this Labor Day, as we talk about the change of seasons, I wanted to just mention a little bit about the change of seasons that we see in our life. Now, you can say that life is like the seasons. In other words, the senior citizen years are like the winter, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I think we go through these cycles in our life, and regardless of the age that we are, there are these particular cycles. Winter is the cycle where life is challenging and difficult. It just is. It is harsh, and it is challenging, and it is cold, and it is difficult. I would bet that everyone here thought of a certain time in their life that was a winter. As a matter of fact, you probably thought of certain times, not just a time, but multiple times in your life that you were dealing with a winter. Winters are something that happen for everyone, right? Yes, thus the frog. Hey, Larry, great to see you. It's kind of an inside joke, but thus the frogs, right? But winter is a time that's challenging for us. And all of us have thought and can relate to the winters of life. It's when times are challenging, and it's when times are difficult. But I'm also going to suggest something about winter as we look at these seasons, is that winter is also the time that we see the evidence of whether or not we have prepared. We see the evidence about whether or not we have used the other seasons to get ready, whether that's financially or emotionally or intellectually or whatever it might be. Winter is the time that it's really displayed. Have we used the other seasons to prepare us for the times of hardship? Look, we know that in economics. We know after every expansion, there is contraction. After after inflation comes, recession. We know that there are cycles to it. Now, we don't know necessarily when those cycles will be, and that's part of this. We don't necessarily know. We can kind of predict that the Labor Day is the beginning of the end of summer, right? We can kind of predict with great regularity that February is going to be the winter. That doesn't hold true in our lives. It doesn't hold true that we can predict specifically on the calendar when a season of life may change, but I will promise you that these seasons are things that we go through, and as certainly as there is summer, there is going to be autumn, and then there is going to be winter. And the winters of our lives are those times that are challenging and difficult, but also the times that it really shows, have we prepared? After winter comes spring. See, I will bet you that as you think about winters, that you will also think about what happened afterwards was a time of rebirth, a time of growth. And spring is also the time to plant. Ted, great to see you on Labor Day. Dwayne, you are exactly right. Challenges are also presenting us with opportunities. Charles, yes, it's the beginning of Indian summer is what Labor Day is. Yeah, absolutely. It's just such a great time of year. Spring is the time of rebirth, but it's also as we are coming out of the winter, it's the time we realize that it is the time to plant. Yeah, coming from a farm and being an FFA boy in school, I'm using a lot of agricultural analogies, but I think they're incredibly appropriate right now. Spring is the time that you plant. It is the time that you invest. It is the time that you do what it takes to be ready for the seasons that come. If we ignore planting in the spring, what do you think our harvest is going to be later on? Spring is the time that we plant. Spring is the time we learn. It is the time we grow. It's the time we prepare. It's the time we put the seeds in the ground. What was the Mike Wickett is a speaker. Golly, I haven't seen Mike speak for 15 years or more. But Mike, part of what I remember is I was on a program with Mike, and he had a table on the stage, and he held up and he shook it, and it was seeds. And it was green beans, right? And so he shook the package of seeds, and he said, "Now, if I plant these, what am I going to get?" And the audience, is like looking at each other, going, "Green beans, right? You plant green bean seeds, you're going to get green beans." And he holds up lettuce seed, shakes at the package. Okay, so if I plant these, what am I going to get? And the audience, yeah, lettuce, of course. He said, "But yet, why in life do we think if we plant this, we're going to harvest this?" You're going to get what you plant. As Jim Rohn also reminded us, it is not that we reap what we sow. We reap exponentially more than we sow. If we reaped what we sowed, the farmer would plant one corn seed and get what? One corn seed back. That's reaping what you sowed. But you plant a seed and you reap a bountiful harvest. So what we plant, this is the time to be really concerned and really, really focused on what are we planting? What are we investing in? Because if you use this spring to not do a whole lot, you're going to reap exponentially nothing, right? I mean, if you plant boredom, you're going to get a life of the mundane. If you plant some excitement, if you plant some great things, you're going to reap great things. Summer, interestingly, we think about it's the time you go to the beach, it's the time you party, but for farmers, summer is the time that you nurture. It's the time that you cultivate the plants. It's the time that you make certain that the weeds aren't taking over or the varmints aren't in the field. It is the time that you nurture. So in spring, we plant. In summer, we nurture. So the question is, when you are in a summer of your life, what are you doing to nurture? What are you doing to continue to grow? So in other words, if I say in spring, I'm going to start this business, and I work and I work and I work in the spring to start the business, summer is the time I do everything I can to nurture and to grow the business. Summer is the time of growth. But you don't grow without nurturing. Autumn is the time for harvest. Man, it is the time that everything is coming in and everything is beautiful. Autumn is the time that we harvest these crops that we have planted. But it is also the time that during the harvest, we prepare because we know what's coming later. The seasons of our life, as I said, they don't correspond to a calendar. They don't correspond to the weather, but the cycle, man, it's exactly the same. There, yes, if you reap what you sow, you better get some sowing going. I love that. I love that. And Charles, you're right. In sales, you got to plant the winter crops, right? You've got to be investing in something that winter is when the proof is shown. Have we prepared in the other seasons? It's the proof is there. Hey, second favorite day of the week, Sonia, Monday. Yes, day 2. You're an organizer, planner by nature, and you're always ready to reap that bountiful harvest. That's fantastic. You bet. So the thing I want to encourage you to remember is to make the most of each of the seasons. Whether that season is planting, nurturing and growing, or harvesting and preparing, or dealing with challenges, make certain that we make the most of each of the seasons that we have in life, because sometimes they change when it's least expected. Hey, final reminder before we're out of here, the $100 off registration for the initial signups for the Distinction Summit end at midnight tonight. So please enroll now for the Standout Earn More Distinction Summit. It is coming up October 16th to 18th. In the meantime, if you'd like to discover what's your biggest challenge when it comes to standing out and earning more, there is a free program that is tomorrow. And all you need to do is to click the link that I provided there. And let's see if I can, there we go. I put it up there, but I don't know if I can copy that or not and paste it up again. But if just go back up through the comments and you can find it. Just click on that. You can register. It's absolutely free. Join us tomorrow for our free program on that. Look forward to seeing you there. It'll be about a 45-minute program. Starts at 1 o'clock Eastern and also 10 o'clock Pacific time. Look forward to seeing you there. Hey, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your Labor Day. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow right here, same time, for the next episode of Daily Distinction. See you soon.